Good day, everyone. Today, my group member Anastasia Ramnarayan and I will be presenting on passive margin basins for our core sedimentary rocks. Our presentation focuses on several key objectives. First, we will explain what a passive margin is and the tectonic setting in which it develops. Next, we will provide a description of a passive margin basin and outline the geologic processes that lead to its formation. We will then discuss how sediment is deposited in passive margin basins and explore modern examples of these basin types. Passive margin basins form along divergent plate boundaries, where tectonic plates move away from each other. These margins are typically found on the trailing edges of continents, where the lithosphere transitions from continental to oceanic without significant tectonic activity like subduction or transform faulting. Formation process. Initially, a continent undergoes rifting, where tectonic forces pull apart. As the rift widens, it eventually forms a new ocean basin, and the rifted continental edge becomes a passive margin. Tectonic inactivity. Unlike active margins like the Pacific Rim, passive margins are tectonically quiet with little to no earthquakes or volcanism.
Description of basin, size and shape. Passive margin basins are among the largest sedimentary basins on Earth. They can extend thousands of kilometers along continental margins and reach sediment thickness of 10 to 15 kilometers. Shape. These basins typically have a wedge-shaped geometry, thickening seaward due to progressive sediment accumulation. Structure. Continental shelf. Shallow, gently sloping, submerged extension of the continent. Continental slope. Steeper descent into deeper waters. Continental rise. A more gradual incline formation by accumulated sediments. Abyssal plain, deep ocean floor beyond the rise. For example, the Atlantic passive margin extends along the entire eastern coast of North and South America, with sediment thickness exceeding 10 kilometers in places. Geological processes forming the basin. The formation of passive margin basins involves several key geological processes. Rifting. Continental crust is stretched and thinned due to tectonic forces. Crustal thinning. As the lithosphere thins, it becomes less buoyant and begins to subside. Seafloor spreading. New oceanic crust forms between the divergent plates. Thermal subsidence. Over time, the newly formed oceanic lithosphere cools and contracts, causing further subsidence of the margin. Sediment accumulation. The subsiding margins creates accommodation space for sediments to accumulate over millions of years. This process results in a long-lived, stable depositional environment, ideal for thick sedimentary sequences. Key processes. The thermal subsidence due to cooling of the lithosphere is the main driver of the long-term basin formation. How sediment fills the basin. Sediment accumulation in passive margin basins is driven by erosion, transport, and deposition. Source of sediment. Rivers and streams erode material from the continental interior and transport it to margin. Transport mechanisms. 1. The fluvial system carries sediment to the coast. 2. Longshore currents and turbidity currents redistribute sediments along and down the continental slope. Deposition. Near shore. Coarse sand and gravel are deposited in deltas and beaches. Offshore. Finer silts and clays settle in deeper waters. Stratigraphic sequences. Over time, the layer of sediment builds up, often showing on-lap patterns, such as younger sediments over older ones, or progradation, that is, seaward growth of sedimentary deposits. Sea level changes, transgression and regressions influence sediment distribution and thickness. Modern examples. Eastern North America, Atlantic coast or Atlantic margin, is a major passive margin basin extending from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. It has a thick sedimentary sequence and stable tectonic conditions, making it an important carbon province. West Africa margin, Niger Delta. The Niger Delta is one of the world's most prolific hydrocarbon regions, formed by extensive sediment deposition along the passive margin. The Brazilian margin. Known for deeper oil reserves, this passive margin hosts thick sedimentary layers and complex depositional systems ideal for petroleum generation. Western Australia margin features wide continental shelves and slopes, creating large accommodation space for sediments and potential hydrocarbon reservoirs. India's eastern margin, Krishna Godavari Basin, which is rich in hydrocarbons. This passive margin basin formed through long-term sediment accumulation and thermal subsidence processes. Basins are crucial for oil and gas exploration as their thick sedimentary layers often contain organic rich rocks that generate hydrocarbons, making passive margins economically significant.
To conclude, passive margins basins play a vital role in recording Earth's geological history and guiding our understanding of sedimentary processes. We hope this presentation has deepened your insight into their formation, structure, and modern examples. Thank you for your time.